Live from the Clarity from Chaos studios, heard worldwide, it's Dave Campbell. On every episode, Dave and his guests explore, discuss, and work on solutions to some of life's biggest challenges. So, if you're ready, be prepared to be enlightened, amused, and even shocked by what you hear. And now, the real, the authentic, the one and only Dave Campbell.
Welcome to Clarity from Chaos. I'm your host, Dave Campbell. If you're new to the show and like what you hear, take a moment to go out to my website on Substack. The site address is clarityfromchaos.substack.com. Once you get to the site, you can listen to archived shows, see who the upcoming guests are, and really importantly, click on the subscribe button to support the show. On this day, over 2,000 years ago, the known world witnessed the greatest tragedy ever imposed on mankind. Yet at the same time, mankind is given a gift, though undeserved, that will change the course of human history. Tonight, Jesus Christ of Nazareth will conduct what is now known as the Lord's Supper. Using a loaf of bread as his body and a cup of wine as his blood, he will conduct a dinner with his apostles. When the supper is concluded, he will go into the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. The following day, Jesus will endure the betrayal, his arrest, and trial by his peers, and he will be crucified on what is now known as Good Friday. Early in the morning on the third day, this coming Sunday, women will go to the tomb and will be met by an angel telling them that Jesus Christ had risen. Later that day, Jesus will appear to Mary Magdalene and Peter on the road to Ismas, establishing his resurrection as historical fact. What really should be, and what clearly should matter in our lives today, are the events that are taking place this week, because it changed the world. Do yourself, and if you have a family or friend, a favor and find a church to attend this Easter. It represents the change we need and the change our country needs. To help us understand the current state of our country, I'm extremely pleased to welcome back to Clarity the best-selling author of The DNA of Democracy and the Shadows of the Acropolis, Mr. Richard C. Lyons. Richard is a third-generation printer whose father dedicated his life to education in the publishing and telecommunications field. He's been involved in printing, publishing, stage and television production throughout his career. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you, David. Good to be here.
Let's go after the current events right now, Richard, and talk about Iran, because I think there's some things that I'm a little concerned about what's going on there, and I'd like your thoughts.
Sure.
Back in 1953, the CIA led a coup in Iran to depose the current administration. 1979, the Carter administration and our wonderful media ramped up a campaign to depose the current Shah at that time, Pahlavi, which gave us the wonderful Ayatollah Khomeini. We kind of seem like we're in the same position again. What do you think?
Well, I wrote I'll predicate this a little bit, David. I wrote another book called But by the Chance of War, and it was a 4-part book about humanity's tendency to war and tendency to weakness and how that creates war. And the 4 of 4 parts was a prophetic story of the Middle East, and it is a story that would have happened had Trump not acted.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, when he sent his Witkoff to negotiate and his son-in-law, Jared, when he sent them to negotiate, the Iranians let them know point blank, we have 450 kilograms of plutonium at 60% enrichment, which equated to, if you took the technology at the time and you could do it, they could have produced 11 nuclear weapons. If they had 11 nuclear weapons today, one of them could have been used, just one, to wipe out all of Israel, all of it. Another one could have been used to drop on London. Another one could have been used to drop on Paris. We would have been in a position with all of their missiles and their nuclear warheads of perpetual blackmail. They would have run the roost in the Middle East today if they had took that. If they instead, what they did is they threatened Witkoff and said, if you don't leave us alone, we're going to produce the bombs. Well, what Trump said is, you're not going to produce the bombs. And that's what this whole attack is about. And he is going, I think the Trump administration couldn't be happier to do the job and get out and let the people rise from the commons of
Right.
Iran and create their own new government. The difficulty will be what it was for the Arab Spring, which was, it's nice to have a parade, it's nice to wave your flags, but if you don't have institutional control, you don't have control. And the military and the Orthodox Islamists will end up running the country again.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. My only concern is we don't seem to be predisposed to being very smart relative to regime change.
No, we're not good at it. We have
You
not
know,
been.
yeah.
No.
So I agree with you completely that their intent was horrible, because I agree that if they had gotten their hands and had enriched what they had, and it wouldn't have mattered, just one.
Just
It,
one bomb would have been enough.
just one would have been
Yeah.
enough to have triggered the entire world annihilation, because it
Yes.
would have just cascaded, right?
Yes.
Right.
That is what, in the prophetic book I wrote called Mariah, that's exactly what happens. People start lobbing bombs that nobody knows where they come from anymore. And it
Right.
becomes a cascade. So you have India firing at Pakistan and back and forth, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera. And not a good outcome. So
No, not at all.
I'm very happy Trump took the utterly necessary action. And anybody who says it wasn't necessary is really doesn't
Well,
have the intelligence.
yeah,
that they,
and they've got their head buried up somebody's butt. But my concern is, who's left? We've got the deposed Shah's son here, who
Yeah.
wants to go back to Iran and implement a new constitution and everything. I don't know, and obviously you can't trust the corporate media. Rather, Trump's administration, Rubio,
you can
and
trust them to lie.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Have been talking to him about putting him over there, because there's still remnants of the Revolutionary Guard. There's still remnants of the regime that was over there, that is over there, and then you have, whether we are really sure or not, the current, the son of the late Khomeini is still around. So, but all of them they're all hardliners, right? Every one of them, from an ideological standpoint, want to obliterate everybody else.
Well, I would put the number that would be clinging to life, and that is, I think, an apt way to put the IRGC and their clan. Let's call them a clan or a tribe. They've made themselves very wealthy. They've been in position now for 47 years. People never, this is a part of human nature, isn't it, David? You never give up power. Nobody who has it gives it up without fighting like hell. And so that's where they are. But the other aspect is that at least 85 million people want them gone.
Yeah.
The further difficulty is, of the 85 million, what are their allegiances?
Yeah.
Who would they like to see in power?
Yeah.
So when you're negotiating, and I trust very much the team of Donald Trump, particularly Marco Rubio, to have a sense of where they can tap into authority to find somebody, perhaps in the lesser military, who has enough authority to be able to take an institution like the the military beneath the IRGC, which is a larger military, but they're like a reserve force, right? They're like a call-up force. But if someone in that bevy of people who hasn't enriched themselves, who hasn't been involved in torturing people, killing people, I think the number
Right.
now is up to 42,000.
Yeah, they're still executing people. Yeah, they're still executing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, what's going to happen after the people are free? What's going to happen to these IRGC folks? They are literally fighting for their lives now. So that's the trouble. That's the composition of the problem.
Yeah, and quite frankly, and I know I'm very much the novice at this, Richard, but I would like to see them turn the Kurds loose and flush out the Revolutionary Guards and all of the remaining regime members that are doing all of this and extract their own form of revenge on it, right? Because that way we wouldn't be putting boots on the ground. The CIA has already armed the Kurds. I would just turn them loose and let them round up all of these heinous animals that are killing people over there and executing them because they don't agree with their ideology and get on with it, right?
The problem is one bloodbath after another, and
Right.
it always leaves poison behind.
Yeah,
Well,
very true.
Personally, I wouldn't put it on the Kurds because they're already prejudiced against. Anybody who would be related to an IRGC member who was assassinated in such a way, they'd have a blood feud with the Kurds for the rest of their life. There has to be a composition of all the different sectors of the population, right? And the only thing that can do that, and this is what's lost, the only thing that can do that is a democratic sort of process where everybody's represented in an assembly and has a voice. We're losing that in America, actually. But it's the only way to bring opposing factions together.
Yeah.
There's no other way other than killing a faction. One faction killing another.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Reza Pahlavi has now suggested there needs to be a bridge time where control is taken of essential institutions to make sure there isn't a bloodbath, and then to form a process for a regular democratic process involving everybody. And I was in an interview the other day where they said, well, does that involve the Kurds? And I said, well, how can it not?
Yeah.
It has to be everybody.
Yep.
For it to work and for there to be a sense of justice. Or it just goes back to it goes back to Cain and Abel all over again.
Yeah. Let's shift gears a little bit. I've come to the conclusion that we're dealing with a uniparty, Richard. There's not really, in our country, there's not really Democrats and Republicans anymore. It's pretty much the same thing. It just depends on whether there's an R or a D by their name. But they certainly seem to act and react in the same manner. I think the only difference is the Democrats are better at staying together and the Republicans are horrible at communicating.
That's very perceptive, if I may say. The difficulty is you have a party that's trying to operate in the Republicans within the constraints of the Constitution, and you have another party that does not. If the Democrats can get the vote, fine. If they can't get the vote, they'll do what they're doing now. And just walk out and say, too bad, we're taking our toys and we're going to go home from now.
Yeah.
And they let loose BLM and Antifa and all this. And then they're trying to repopulate America in order to disenfranchise enough citizens so that they'll get elected. I mean, that's what they're attempting, to disenfranchise through illegal immigration enough citizens who would vote conservative in order that they get elected.
Oh, absolutely.
It's despicable. It's despicable.
Well, Obama brought all the Somalis in and resettled them into District 5.
Yeah.
To give them the voting block that they needed to basically control Minnesota, right?
And it's worked.
And it's worked, right? It's absolutely worked.
And if you replicate that enough, David, in inner cities, They'll be a governing
yeah, that's the whole reason for the sanctuary cities
yes, and
is to protect that voting block. It's got nothing. You can't tell me that these people in private are in favor of some illegal doing some kind of nasty crime against humanity. But what overrides that is the simple fact that it's a power thing. It's a control thing, right?
it is a telling thing
Right.
about how far the left has gone, that they would sacrifice the lives, not just the votes, not just the enfranchisement of citizens. They'd sacrifice citizens' lives.
Yep.
In order to retake power. That is a horrible comment for any political party around the world. It's horrible stuff. This is like Uganda.
But the corporate media doesn't challenge them on it, Richard. And the Republicans
That's because they live in a fantasy, David. They live in the fantasy that they're all from the 1960s and they're all on some big peacenik trip. It's the opposite. It's socialism and it's murder. It's bloody murder. And it's disregard of the Constitution, disregard of our foundations in a free enterprise system, disregard freedom of faith, disregard freedom of speech, disregard the truth on a regular daily basis. This is where we're at with that party. So it's very perceptive of you to say, it seems to be uniparty, but you've got a Republican Party clinging to our foundations, but not able to because the Democrat Party is jamming the system. They're saying we will not participate in the constitutional process of voting in assemblies laws that we'll respect and abide.
Yep,
they are not in sanctuary cities. They're not abiding a law regarding immigration.
No, and we've witnessed time and time again the protesting, the foreign money that's supporting up these protesters.
Massive foreign money.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge amounts of money are being thrown at destroying our culture. Huge amounts of money.
And our constitutional order.
And unless we actually as a country wake up and start dealing with this instead of just ignoring it or giving it some kind of pass because it's supposedly under the First Amendment, which is what they're doing. They're using the First Amendment as an escape clause
to kill the Constitution.
Yeah. And you cannot tell me that walking down the street with a communist flag should be protected by our First Amendment rights. I'm sorry, because that's anti the Constitution. And so therefore it shouldn't apply as far as I'm concerned. But you're going to have a lot of people rise up and say, well, they can. It's just like with burning the American flag.
I'd go a step further. The person with the communist flag has more right and is at more peace than the poor girl that was just walking in a park and got shot down.
Right.
Because those same people are disregarding the immigration laws of America.
Well, it's just like it's just, for example, the Somalis, their whole culture is reflected in this fraud that's going on in Minnesota. I firmly believe that they don't think that if they can game the system, that then more power to them. I believe that's what they believe.
Yeah, but there's been a progression over time, and the progression started with FDR and his really astute political mind. If you can pay your constituencies to stay being your constituencies, you're going to keep them forever.
Yep.
And so it started with the labor unions and the protections and funds that they gave to them. With LBJ, it became Michael Harrington, noted socialist and author of Socialist Tones, said to LBJ, you have a labor union all around you, all around America. sitting there that can be transformed like the labor unions into the Democratic Party's strongest base. LBJ said, who the hell is that? He said, the poor. If you fund them, they'll vote for you. And that turned the tide for the Democrat Party for decades.
Yeah.
That they were able to, and now we're not just funding the poor. We're funding the thieves living off the poor.
Yeah.
The illegal aliens and thieves living off what we fund the poor with. So it's gone industrialized fraud based on Democrat policy to keep their constituency.
But I would take it a step further. You have this competency that's supposed to be supplying oversight to this. Not only have our politicians written laws that wrote back doors and loopholes into this stuff. And, I'm not going to take it a step to where I think it was done maliciously, but those loopholes are there.
Yeah.
And we put people in place that are totally incompetent, that they're either in on the grift that's going on, or their competency is so far gone that
most Republicans have actually had a business background. Most Democrats have an education background, which in America is now BS.
Yeah, true.
It's utter BS.
Yeah.
They can't even add look at the EPA. That's a constituency of the Democrats, right? All the NGOs around the EPA. So what did they do? They pushed out $2 billion before Trump took office, earmarked it for Stacey Abrams, and then they said, well, you have to make a budget. She's never made a budget in her life.
Right.
He doesn't know how. That's what you're saying. $2 billion given to a person who's never written a budget and does not know how.
Yeah.
So what you said is exactly right. And it's not just the poverty programs. It's every agency, the EPA,
right, for
Pete's sakes. That's where she got her money.
Well, these agencies shouldn't exist anyway. It was just Congress throwing
never Constitution.
Yeah, it was never part of the Constitution. Yeah, exactly.
Unenumerated branch of power.
Exactly. And so all of these agencies, every damn one of them, shouldn't even be there. So it's just gets infuriating.
There's 435 federal agencies, and then there's another 185 dependency programs.
Yeah.
So this is the Democrat base. And when you're like Trump or you're like the Doge the Doge thing, that to them is lethal. Every dollar lost, they're losing a vote. I mean, they're losing power. So I think all this mess has to be given back. We have to federalize the system. If California wants to feed, house, and educate every illegal immigrant, let them do it, but let them pay for it.
Right. No, I agree.
Cut off the siphon.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Every state union, say to Illinois, if you want to fund poverty, fund it. But they fund it. And they'll all go broke. They'll go broke real quick.
Well, they're broke now.
They're broke already.
Yeah, they're already broke.
They spent everything and it wasn't enough.
Right. And, if they don't look out, they're not going to have anybody left in their states to pull the wagon because they're leaving in droves as fast as they can get U-Haul trucks.
Yes.
So here's my other question. Love your thoughts on it. We've seen gasoline spike because of the war in Iran, pardon me. But yet we maintain that we have energy independence. We don't need any oil moved through the strait or anything else. We're not really relying on OPEC anymore. Why are they jacking the oil prices up? Why should it matter? I heard today that they're thinking that oil is going to push 100.
I think that's an inflamed opinion.
Yeah.
But my take on that would be that most of the companies we're dealing with as oil companies in America are actually international or transnational companies. So it's all, though we might be as a nation only consuming, 5% of Mideast oil. If
Yeah.
you're transporting oil around the globe as Amoco, it's still costing you more to deal with the shortages out of the Middle East.
Yeah. But, and I'll reference back into the
We're a lot better off than
Oh, yeah.
anybody else.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with you there at all. But I liken back to when we ran through gas crisis, and there wasn't any gasoline. And
Yeah.
at the time, I was
Yeah, they
living,
had
at the time I was living in Arizona and found out that Arizona had so much gasoline stored within the state, they were shipping gasoline out to other states to store it, yet we were all standing in line to fill our automobiles.
And why was that? I mean, but David, you can always bet that government incompetence is going to come around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Other than the military, and we do the military exceptionally well, but
Yep.
outside of that, the amount of waste that's estimated in the federal government's budget is 20%.
Yeah.
Out of every dollar, 20 cents is wasted. Out of every 1,200,000 is wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would almost argue it's more than that.
Yeah.
So where do you think we're going to be in the midterms? I mean, we're now in April. We're what, 6 months away?
Yeah.
We're 6
We're
months
getting
away.
into really critical territory. And
Yeah.
I really, anybody watching your show that wants to know what would have happened if Trump, and I'm not promoting my own book, believe it or not. If you want to know what would have happened if Trump hadn't taken up this battle, it is in my book, But by the Chance of War. It's part 4. And it is exactly what the demands were of the Iranians. We want all your military bases out of the Middle East, and and all this. It's in the book, and I wrote it 10 years ago. But what has to happen is we have to do what we have to do there. But by May 1, we've got to start settling down. And Trump, though it's not at all in his nature, has to really calm down. And he has to keep his cabinet together, and he has to start doing his rallies again all over the country. And they have to start being able to talk about inflation being under control, jobs going up, economy getting better, the world at peace, right?
Yeah.
No illegal aliens coming over, no drugs coming from Venezuela, Middle East at peace, at least the prospect of peace.
Yeah, he may even be able to
That'll
put
have a great message if he could just.
Yeah, he may even be able to put Cuba's feather in his cap as well. I think that's kind of floating around there on the edges. But yeah, I do believe completely that if we don't hold what we have for the midterms, we're going to see 2 years of just absolute utter nonsense.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Democratic Party has become.
Right.
When I was growing up, when you were growing up, David, the Democratic Party was a respectable party.
Yeah.
But beginning with Clinton, they became farcical, and after Obama, they became tyrannical.
Yeah.
And now they're just desperate. They're like the IRGC. Every bit of power they lose, they're going insane. So and the only way they can win is by cheating in elections. I mean, Trump has it right. The only way he took 80% of the counties in America. What is 80%? What does that tell you?
Yeah.
That the whole Democratic Party is in the inner cities, and only in, some of them. And so it's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
That the Democrat Party has got to where it's got to. They're disregarding the Constitution. They are protesting against American values. And they're allowing illegal immigration to sacrifice the lives of citizens in order for illegal aliens to take the franchise and vote from citizens.
Yeah. And it's gotten to the point where we're having discussions over biology,
Oh, please, come on.
which is just
Well, I have a
absolute.
theory about that, David, for all the conspiracy theorists out there. And it's a big push, and they were making it at the end of the Biden administration regarding mental health.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in Illinois. Where if you go into a public school in Illinois and you're not what they consider to be correct in your mind, you have to go see a counselor. And the counselor reports to the government. When the government gets into how you think and can control it, and that's where they were going with all the mental health and all this.
Yeah, and I would maintain that COVID was a successful experiment in a lot of those areas. A lot of those areas, because they literally controlled how people thought, and people were very willing to walk off the end of the pier.
Well, if you don't take the vaccine, if you're against the vaccine,
right,
you can be fired.
Yeah, for absolute, yeah.
We'll take the livelihood from you.
It's just insanity. So,
and you can't go to church.
Right.
You can protest. Weren't they doing that, David? You can protest in the streets. You can burn down a city together.
Yeah, but you can't go to church. Yeah,
right.
No, exactly. And I think the churches of this country, they bowed to that as well. And or at least a majority of them did. And
stepping up for their own independence.
Yeah.
And they are, if you accept the threats of the Democrat Socialist Party, that's the end of faith in the country.
Yep. So where can people find you on social media and your books, Richard?
Well, I have a website at richardclyons.com, which elaborates on all my works, and that, of course, Amazon or any retail outlet. Dave, they can find me there.
Well, as always, my friend, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you the best, and we'll get you back on as we push a little bit deeper into the year to see where we're at.
It's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be interesting too.
Yeah, it's going to be tight.
And I don't think we're at the point of just wringing our hands and accepting defeat on this. I think there's an awful lot of opportunity to take this to the Dems and actually win the midterms.
Well, if people, and I hate to promote myself again, if people read Shadows of the Acropolis, which is that's through the DNA of democracy, it's everything the Democrat Party has done to shift our country off its foundations and to threaten its existence, its very existence.
Yep. Nope. I agree. I agree completely. Yeah. Well, thank you, sir, as always, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Okay, great, David. Have a great evening and a great Easter.
You too, bud. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to listen to more Clarity from Chaos shows on demand, go to clarityfromchaos.buzzsprout.com or send Dave an email at info@clarityfromchaos.com for information on previous shows. You can also listen to the show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Twitter, or Google Podcast. Until next time, please remember, it's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Be well, everyone.